From the Tapped Out Wrestling Network studio, we bring you the original Tapped Out Wrestling podcast with your host, Nick McDaniel and Myron Fancher. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another special interview edition of the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. I am Nick. This week I am flying solo as my buddy Myron's got some time off. But, you know, I don't do shows alone, especially these interview shows. I've always got some special guests that I bring in. And this week we have indie star O'Shea Edwards in the house. How's it going, buddy?
I can't complain, man. How about yourself?
Man, we're doing what we do, trying to get the bills paid, man. That's kind of how we roll around here. It's just keeping it one day at a time, right? One day at a time.
I hear you, right? As long as bills are paid, mama's happy. That's all I really care about.
Yeah, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So we're just trying to keep mama happy. You know, we talked a little bit about off air about that situation at my house, so you completely understand. We're trying to take mama.
Oh yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah, definitely, mama's really important right now to keep happy. So. But man, you know, hey, let's dive right into it. You know, we've been excited to have you on here. We've talked a couple weeks ago to get you on here, man, and it's a big day to have you here finally. Before we get started into all the me grilling you with the questions, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of, you know, who you are, where you're from, that good stuff.
Yeah, man, no problem. I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia. 2 years in, started training with Johnny Swinger out in Kennesaw. For those Georgians who know where that is. Eventually, I was kind of let to further my training. I trained with Robert Gibson out in Douglasville. If you don't know who he is, man, just go jump off a cliff.
Yeah, they shouldn't be listening to our show, right? If they don't know who Robert Gibson is.
You shouldn't be listening. Yeah, you shouldn't be listening. And now I'm currently under tutelage of some guys out of Atlanta, WrestleTech from Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. Just really kind of getting that final coat of polish. But ever since then, I've been working since about 2 years in April. Yeah, this past month is my 2-year mark of actually like debuting. So it's been a wild 2 years.
Wow. So you're 2 years in it, and so you're saying you got trained. So did you train over there at the? You know, I'm obviously based out of Atlanta. It's kind of weird when we interview guys that are based out of Atlanta because we kind of know the geography a little bit. So you said you used to train over at Gibson's place in Douglasville.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. Cause that's, you know, we've actually been trying to, through some mutual friends, obviously, I've been trying to maybe get away over there and maybe, talk to him since we're so close to him as well.
Of course. No, actually, I came across he trains it called APCW, All Pro Championship Wrestling. I came out of that way actually just now I want to say a goof because that's not the right word, but I was working in LaGrange and one of his guys was there, and he basically, hey man, if you ever got a free chance, you should come by and check the school out. And at the time, I was still training with Swinger out in Kennesaw, and I'm a big stickler on, you know, dancing with the girl who brought you. And so since Swinger was the one who I started with, I didn't want it to be a slight if all of a sudden I started going somewhere else. So I told him, and he was ecstatic. He was like, yeah, man, go. His whole philosophy was, you know, one guy will never teach you anything. So always remain a student of the game and learn from as many people as you can. And if you can learn from Robert Gibson, man, learn from Robert Gibson. And so I came over there, I think that summer, and been rocking and rolling with him quite a bit. And then from there, I started to evolve into, you know, just started to especially get my tag team stuff going, and then really start to evolve into my own thing. I found the guys from Atlanta, and then that's pretty much where I am right now. But working with Gibson was absolutely fantastic. I wouldn't trade that for the world. I mean, that guy's just a plethora of knowledge. And then just hearing, I can sit and listen to him talk about, you know, just his life on the road with Ricky all day long, and just, you know, like, yeah, I'm great. This is fine with me.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. I mean, the guy's been around. He's done. If you don't know, we joked about it a second ago. If you don't know who Robert Gibson is, he knows a little bit about wrestling. He's been around for a little while. So
just a little bit, just a little
while. We joke about it all the time about, you know, I mean, I watched him when I was like a kid. I mean, you know, so right. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll go ahead and knock that out. I'm 43, so he's been around for a while, and still, and this is kind of a plug to our show, I guess. Back in our archives, if you look down in there, we did a show of top 10 tag teams of all time. I'll give you a hint and tell you that they're on there. Just a tip.
Course.
Yeah, absolutely. They're on there.
Just if they're not on your, Mount Rushmore of tag teams, we need to have a talk.
Yeah. Well, I'll give a spoiler alert. I'm not going to give it too much away. They're top 3. We'll leave it there. That's when it comes to
as they should be.
Absolutely. So now let me, we were talking about over there, and you said you, in your training, did you do tag team, or you singles mostly now, or, your career?
I'm really 50-50. I have a tag team. We're called the Dogs of War. My partner's Hawk Thomas. We've been tagging for about a year and a half, going on our second year. Our chemistry is really good. He really taught us the ins and outs, really get about timing and, really about quarterbacking, a team and getting things. I think tag team wrestling is a lost art. At my core, I'm a storyteller. I love telling stories. And if I can tell story and never have to say a word, that's great. And with our tag team wrestling, we're able to do that. And a lot of promoters down south, they love it because it's that old school. It's a homage to the old school style wrestling that used to dominate down this way. And so I'm not gonna lie, man, it's been making us money. And so it's been working. And we're big boys. Like, I'm standing about 6'3". He's about 6'4". We're both about 270, 280 respectively. So all of a sudden you get these two big guys in there and we're moving with the grace of a cat. And people are like, oh, okay, here we go. And that's all Gibson. Anytime we've ever had an idea for, hey man, we're thinking about this, and this. And Robert will look at us and he'll sit there and he'll kind of nod his head and goes, all right, that sounds good, but you ever about doing this, and this, and this, and this? And then we sit there and go, why didn't we think of that? And he would sit there and look at it and goes, because you're not Robert Gibson. And I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Okay.
Touche.
I can't. Touche, Robert. You got me, buddy. It's been great. I get to travel with him from time to time. I've worked on his show out in Douglasville. He puts on a great show. He's drawn really well out there. I think his last show was over 400. Out in the National Guard Armory out in Douglasville. Cheap plug. But it's great every time we go over there. He loves what we do, but at the same time, he always has something for us to do better. There'll never be a perfect match, and I'm all about constructive criticism and for what it's worth, man, he's never short on it. And I'm okay with that. I'm trying to get better. And the only way you get better is, sometimes you got to break you down to build you back up.
Absolutely. If you're not getting better, somebody behind just passing you, right? That's the old saying.
Exactly.
And, and I agree. And I guess because, we talked about my history a little bit as growing up here in the South. I totally agree. I grew up in an era where it was, the Rock and Rolls, the Midnights, the Legion of Doom, Tully and Art, Ole and Gene, Ole and Art, so forth and so down the tag team scene. And that is definitely something these days that's missing in wrestling as a whole. And, I know some territories are bringing it back, and I wish that it would be more of a focal point across the board. I know the old school promoter as well. I got to pay 4 guys to do a match that 2 guys could do, so they don't like that. But I'm like, man, there's a lot to be said for a good tag team story, told in a match.
And one thing Robert always told me was, man, show them your worth. And you're right. It costs more to get a tag team in, but we're going to give you something that we're going to make sure the value is always worth it. We're going to tell a story. We're going to be out there. We're going to promote the hell out of your show. Whatever you need, we can do. You need a heel, we'll be heel. You need we'll do that too. We're here for you. What do you need for your show? Whatever you need, man, we'll give it to you. And usually when we put it like that, and that old school, man, that old school attitude, that attitude of respect, and hey, man, listen, we're here for you, and what do you need us for? And they appreciate that, and that's usually what ends up bringing us back. Either I'm doing tag or single. That's usually what has them coming back. Like, hey man, listen, I had a great time with you. Can you come back next week? Sure can.
Yeah, as long as they keep calling, right? That's a plus.
That's it.
If you're booked every weekend, it's a good thing. Now you mentioned it a little bit there. Whether they want you to be a face, they want you to be a heel. And I know you're the tag team, that you're with. couple questions I always like to ask: do you prefer baby or do you prefer heel? And do you enjoy singles or tag more?
Ooh, oh man, that's kind of funky. I do enjoy heel because I love to talk on the microphone. And it's one of those where if I love building up a baby just because, man, listen, you give me a microphone, you won't have to say a word. They'll be so happy just for anybody to come out there to punch me in the mouth. Let's do it, and that's usually how it works. But at the same time, like I said, if they need a face, I'll give you one of those too. I'll give you the best damn face you got because it's what you need, man. It's not a problem. But if I had a choice, yeah, I'll heal it up. Yeah, why not? This will be fun. This will be great, especially if it's somebody smaller than me, which 99% of the time that's the case.
Yeah, not to interrupt you, but that's actually when I've watched some of your stuff. YouTube, I've caught some of your videos and stuff like that. And that's where when I looked at you, I was like, it's got to be heel. Just because, especially on the indie scene, most of the guys aren't your size. And I'm old school mentality. I'm used to Ricky being beat down by the Road Warriors, and begging for help. And I'm like, okay, it doesn't work necessarily the other way around. So when I saw you and I saw some of your promo work, I'm like, dude screams heel to me.
Yeah, it's great. I like to be real fluid, especially on the microphone. I like to be real fluid in the ring. Despite the size, hey man, I'll sell with the best of them, And I take pride in being able to do whatever's asked of me within reason. But it's like, hey man, you want to run, dude? We can run. You want to fly? Hey man, we'll fly. I'll catch you. Not a problem. You want to sit there and swing for the fences, man. That's my specialty. Let's swing for the fences. Let's see who's still standing. To figure out which one I like more than singles or tag, it's kind of hard. I love the complexity of tag team because there's four guys, and so you really have to be on your game to tell a story and prevent two single matches from breaking out. But I do enjoy singles because I do enjoy the fact that there are times I get to stand on my own and really get to show off. When I'm singles, man, like I said, I can give you everything. What do you want to do? This, that, and the other. It's not a problem. Tag team is a little bit more devious. When we're tag teaming, we tend to slow things down just because we're bigger guys. And it makes no sense for us to, get into a sprint with two smaller. Nah, man, we'll slow this thing down just because it's what we like to do. But everything has its pros or cons. But as much as I do enjoy tag team wrestling, if the chance comes up for me to go singles, yeah, I'm gonna get a singles match in.
So now, when you guys are kind of working on, you said you guys have been a team for about a couple years now, creeping up on it. Who's the teams that you look back at and kind of model yourselves after? And I know, obviously, nobody wants to be a copy of somebody.
No.
But primarily, like, who are the teams, plural, that you like to watch tape of and say, like, okay, we want to steal this and we want to work with this, and the obvious answer. So I'm going to steal one out of you because I'm going to take the easy answer and say the Rock and Rolls because obviously working with Robert, you'd be crazy if you haven't watched any of the tape from him. I'm sure.
There's a lot of stuff we've taken from Robert and Ricky just because why not? Like, you're right there. Why don't you take it? But then it comes down to, man, we're not faces. And the inside joke in Douglasville is we call Robert the king of the hot tag, and because he's the king of the hot tag. Like, Ricky's in trouble, here comes Robert. It's always good. But for me and my partner, we've watched. We grew up in the same time frame. I didn't really get started into wrestling about the 90s. And I really didn't get into it about the Attitude Era. So I was big on the Dudleys because they were about my size. And I could kind of relate to them. And a lot of people call us like a cut rate Dudley boys just because it's a black guy and a white guy. We're both bald. And I was like, come on, man, you can't get me better than that. But unfortunately, when we watch some of our stuff, that's what we do. It's a lot of smash stuff, a lot of power stuff, and we tell everybody all the time, listen, man, we're not pretty, but I'm not paid to be pretty. I'm paid to fight, and that's what we come to do. My partner's more technical. He wrestled in college and in high school. I played football on all levels. So it's just one of those things where he'll fold you up. I'm just going to throw you, and it works. It works a lot.
So maybe a little APA involved there as well.
Big time APA. Actually, Ron Simmons has been one of my favorite wrestlers since as long as I can remember. And JBL as well. I love that clothesline. Actually, one of my favorite moves is that lariat. Anytime I can get a running start and just dive into a lariat, man, I'm taking somebody's head off because that's what I love to do. I told somebody asked me one time, it's like, what do you do? I'm like, well, I hit home runs. That's what I do. I don't play to get on base. I come to knock your head off and send it to the cheap seats.
Yeah, I mean, it's the great thing about wrestling, and it's a great debate about, in the business that the wrestling is a business. It's the joke is it's kind of like the circus.
Yeah.
You're going to have the trapeze guy, you're going to have the clowns, you're going to have, the lion tamers and all that. And I'm like, there has to be different matches. You want to separate out and you want to have the big guys, you want to have the high flyers, you want to have, the technical guys. So that way every match, that's my biggest knock right now at times on the WWE style is that every match looks the same. Whether the guy's 300 pounds or he's under 205, they wrestle so similar that's why I love going to, like we say, these indie shows where they mix it up and the matches look different. It's kind of an old school style.
And speaking of the WWE, for me, the only team that I enjoy watching is the Revival. It's to me, they're that old school heel tag team, and I love it. I love their cutoffs. How creative they get with their cutoffs. I mean, I think one of them, they climbed underneath the ring to grab the guy. I'm like, come on, who does that anymore? That's awesome. The whole adage is less is more. They're all about it. But yeah, I tell people all the time, it's like, yeah, if you're going to watch WB, that's great, man. But if you can get to an indie show, yeah, man, do that. Like, trust me, you'll have more fun and more interactive, and it's cheaper.
It's a lot cheaper, yeah.
A lot cheaper. And you'll have more fun, and not to mention you get to meet them, And it's a lot of times once you get to that level, that's not the case anymore. They're almost kept in almost like a plastic bubble. You can watch them, but I just don't touch them. And but I mean that's just my thing.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, obviously, doing what I do, I'm tickets for SmackDown here, and it's a month away, give or take.
Yeah.
I have to go to that, obviously. But we joked about it on one of our past episodes. My partner Myron and I went to just a house show, just a SmackDown house show back in December, I believe it was. It was the most fun we've had because it was priced so affordable. It wasn't Raw, it wasn't SmackDown, it wasn't a pay-per-view. So families brought their kids. I mean, we were surrounded by tons of kids, and they went nuts.
Right.
And the great thing
they lost their minds.
Yeah, the kids lost their mind. They loved what they were seeing. And I actually leaned over to my buddy and said, "Hey, have you noticed that these stories that they're telling are really nice? Do you know why? There was no commercial breaks. There's no. I mean, they came out and Ziggler and Miz put on a cage match that lasted about 20 minutes. And it was just a great match. And we were just I said, this is why house shows are better. But at the same time, when I leaned over to him and said, and this is also why I'm telling you, he's not been a big indie guy in the past. And right. I had been, doing the indies for the years past. I'd been into them. I've been out for a while, but I'm like, this is why this show needs to head down to the indies because of exactly what you said. Kids can meet you guys, shake their hands. I'll tell you a good story. You'll get a kick out of it. Back, years ago when my kids were little, my baby's 15 now. I mean, but when my kids were little, we used to go to these smaller shows, and I just happened to I knew Terry. We talked about that earlier, and there was another gentleman that used to wrestle, T.A. Stanton. Jamie Holmes was in a group with him. So some of those guys you'll know, obviously, but we used to go to these shows, and my kids, it put me in a whole different light because I knew these guys. So after the show, I could walk up and talk to them. My kids, oh my God, you know these guys. And I'm like, dude, these are still stars. They're not on TV every week, but when you take your kid to an indie show, they will love it. It's so up close and personal and affordable, like you said. So,
yeah, and I enjoy making those moments, either or that I need. I love making those moments, and I know I've done something good when some shows need me to play heel, and I'll still be able to come out and sell what I need to do, and they'll come up to me and they'll kind of look at me like, you're a real jerk tonight. And I just kind of look, I'm like, I'm a jerk every night. and they go, well, can I get a picture? I'm like, I don't know. You want your picture with a jerk? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, get in here. And I've made a moment, and I enjoy that. I enjoy making moments for kids. I enjoy making moments for the regular fan. It's fun for me, because I know, I made a connection, and the next time they're going to want to come out because I'm there, and that's something I've always take pride in. Like, no, these boys came here to see me because they know what I'm about to do.
And they can afford to come week in, week. If you're coming through town once a month, so dad can afford to bring the 3 kids, or even in some cases the 4 or 5 kids. It's an affordable thing. Whereas like I said, we're going to SmackDown in a couple of weeks. I'm like, man, we can't take all the kids. It's $80 a ticket, for a cheap seat.
Who's daddy's favorite?
The kids just don't get to go. That's the problem. We just tell them, like, they get to go to house shows, and when it's Raw, SmackDown, something like that, or we're like, dude, it's just dads are going because we got to go for the show. So it's a write off, man. What's a write off?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's always a write off. Yes. I wish more people do that. Absolutely.
So definitely that's indie shows we're real big on pushing. Which actually will lead me to my next question. Like, kind of which promotions are your big ones right now that you're working in?
My big ones right now are Pro South is out in Piedmont, Alabama. The main one that I do a lot of tag team stuff is going to be Southern Fried Championship Wrestling out in Monroe. They brought in some serious names. They got a big one coming up this weekend, and they're really on the ball in terms of just that homegrown type deal. The next one I got that's really big is Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment out in Atlanta. And I tell people sometimes, like, yeah, man, they're the only show in town in Atlanta. And people are like, no, they're not. I'm like, all right, man. Sure, I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And then Mountain Championship Wrestling out in Tennessee. They've been bringing us in at a regular clip. Me and the tag team, and then 2 other guys that we usually travel with. They bring us all up there. So that's a fun little ride for us. But we're always, me and my partner, and even if doing singles, we're always trying to expand more, just because man, the Southeast is great, man, but there's more wrestling out there, and I'm trying to get it all.
Oh, there's lots more, and that's kind of what we've talked about it off air. One of the things we're hoping to help on the podcast to push is a lot of these. There's territories. God bless us. Are we back to the days where the territories are coming back slowly but surely? That we're going to have
slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely. And if anything, WWE, Impact, Ring of Honor, they all need it. They need the feeder system.
You just nailed it. It's a feeder system. And the beauty of being a quote unquote feeder system is this is a chance for guys to build themselves as a brand. And as much as this is an art, I tell people this is also a business. And if you're not building yourself up into something that they can't take from you, and when I say I'm just speaking figurative terms, man, what are you doing? You're leaving money on the table. I'm big into brand building wherever I go. I'm big into getting myself out there wherever I go. I'll turn a 5-hour road trip into like 2-3 shows if I can, just to put it out there and get it started, and then I can plant my flag in one more place. There's times where I just wish more people would see it with a business aspect. And I'm not a businessman by any stretch of the imagination. I went to college for like communication, not business. But what I like to do is like to watch and see what guys are doing. And instead of doing what guys are doing, I like to do what guys aren't doing, and then I go do that, because it's an untapped market. So why would I jump in where everyone else is doing when I can go over there where nobody is and do that over there, and then I own the pool? I'm not going to jump in a crowded pool. I just have my own pool, and then I do what I want to do. And but the thing with territories, it's great because that brand can now start to bridge over. So I can build a brand in Southern Fried, and okay, the guys out in Porterdale, PCW can see it, and then I can go over there, and then I go over here. Okay, well, now I'm in Augusta. Okay, well, I'm going to South Carolina, which is North Carolina, and this, that, and the other, and off of one brand. And all of it, and with the territories coming back, man, I love it, because it's just, hey, man, my phone keeps ringing. I'm not mad at it.
And one of the beauties of the feeder system and the old territory days, what I loved is because it's not necessarily on television week in and week out, you could play with your character a little bit.
Yeah.
You can tweak something and try something new and see if it works, and then you can take it somewhere else again.
Right. I love doing that, taking small things And I'm like, does this work? Like, let's find out. And if it doesn't work, like, never doing that again. But finding something that does work and go, all right, let's put this one in my pocket. We'll save that one for later. Go to the next town. Let's try this. Oh, that didn't work? I know we ain't gonna do that again. Oh, but this worked? I put that in my pocket. So by the time I get somewhere big, all of a sudden it's just like, hey, man, look, O'Shea got his greatest hits. Here they are. Bing, bang, boom. Tried and true. I know they work. Let's go. And it's great. I get it's almost like an audition before the big show.
Now, speaking of that, I do want to touch on there. How is that? What's your goals down the road? Like, auditions to any territories you've already auditioned with, promotions or anything that you want to tell us about as well?
I had a chance to try out for Ring of Honor out in October. It went well. It went great. Not, good enough to like make it on TV or anything. And I'm okay with that. That was never the goal. The goal was basically see where I stood. And I was very happy with where I stood. But just because I tell people, just because I'm happy with something doesn't mean I'm content with it. Okay, I just think, which is April now, in the 6 months since that tryout, I'm better now than I was in October. That's really all I ever cared about. Am I getting better? Am I better than I was yesterday? Am I better than I was last week? Am I better than I was last month? That way, when that opportunity comes up again, guess what? They're going to know who I am because it's like, yo, he got a lot better since last time we saw him. A lot of people ask me, what's the end goal? Somebody said, do you ever want to make a WWE? And I'm like, yeah, man, if they call, great. But I know that's not the only show in town. Honestly, in a perfect world, I'd be in New Japan, man, and I'd never come home. I'll just put a family member in my house and be like, hey, man, I'll send you a check for the mortgage, but me and the wife, we're going to be in Japan, and we're going to make a career at that. And in my world, that's exactly where I want to be. And we're going to see where it goes.
Yeah, I actually, while doing some research for you, I did see that's kind of why I wanted to know that. Is that still your, Ring of Honor, New Japan, that kind of deal? Maybe even one of those where it's cross promotion. They let you bounce back and forth and do both. But I know a lot of people, me personally, I love the New Japan stuff. I get the pay-per-views and that stuff. It's a great promotion to watch. It's got a lot of old school, mentality into the booking. So a lot of people are into it for that reason.
Yeah, if I could do both, that'd be great. But it's just one of those things of we'll see what happens when we get there. But the thing is, I have a direction, and once I have a direction, it's real hard to get me knocked off track because once I'm very goal oriented, and once I'm there, I'm there. It's like if you want to try to knock me off my perch, well, I hope you brought a lunch because it's going to be a long day for you.
Yeah. Another area, and it's kind of from watching some of your tapes that I think you probably are a good fit for, and then I kind of wanted to get your take on it. Is the UK scene's blowing up with Progress and IC, all that stuff is just blowing up over there, and we've got some connections with some of the podcasts over there and that talk about. And I'm like, I think that would be a good fit for you. What do you think about that as a possible destination?
I love Progress. One of my friends got me hooked on it, and I've been watching it ever since. And I love that type of stuff. I love the aspect of the guys under 205 stepping in the ring with guys who are 270, and they're trading blows. And I enjoy it. I love that a lot. I would love to spend time over there, work, learn, get put on a show here and there, and see what happens. I love to learn because I never claim to know it all. I may know a little bit, but what I know probably couldn't fill up a coffee cup. So any chance I get to learn from a different mind, I'm all about it because you've been where I want to be. So why wouldn't I want to listen to you? Why wouldn't I want to learn from you and go from there and see where it takes me? So if I ever got a chance to go to UK, yeah, man, I got a credit card with my name on it. Let's go.
Yeah, because like I said, I do think you'd be a good fit there from what I've seen and from watching like I said, I have some friends over there that run some shows over there, the podcast shows, I should say, be more specific.
Of course.
They, have got me turned on to it, especially with the UK tournament that the WWE put on the network.
Right.
And like I said, I agree with you. I love how the mix of sizes, they all kind of still work a stronger style, and I know you obviously have mentioned that's kind of what you like. You like to lay it in, pretty good. So with that being said, kind of, I always like to go, so the matches you've had up to this point, like what do you like? What's your favorite match you've had up to this point, and give me a reason why.
My favorite match I've had at this point is it's just a few weeks ago, UIW at Buchanan, Georgia, with Agent Armor. Because to me, it was a litmus test. I've always been in the ring with guys smaller than me. I've always been the biggest guy in the ring, so I can always just kind of dominate any way I wanted to. Because really, it's like, who's going to stop me? But it was wrestling him was the first time I got a chance to be in the ring with somebody my own size, my own strength, and who was quicker than me, and I'm pretty quick for a big guy. And it was also the longest match I've been a part of. It was like 23 minutes, and I felt great. Like he kind of got me, and he went over. But when I was in the back, I felt amazing. Like, yeah, I can do that again. Like, I can do that again and be okay. And I love trying to find out where I stand. Like, okay, I've been doing this for X amount of months. Where do I stand? Who's the biggest guy here? You. Let's go. And regardless of who comes out, I now know where I stand. Now I know where I gotta, now I know what I gotta work on, what I gotta do to get there, and so on and so forth. But working him was great because I got to really expand what I know, really pull some stuff out of my hat, out of my little bag of tricks, and it worked. It looked really good when I got a chance to watch it back. I'm my own worst critic, so of course I broke it down for to the minute level. But for what it was worth, it was a match that I personally felt I could hang my hat on, and that made me feel good knowing that I can hang with somebody my size or bigger, and it wouldn't be a problem.
I was just watching something, and you kind of made me trigger a thought when you said, I was watching the Table for Three special that just aired where they had Nash, Michaels, and Styles on, and it was funny to hear AJ say he preferred to wrestle somebody like Nash than he did somebody like Shawn.
Right.
Because the object was, he was like, Nash is somebody he gets to run and bump with. Do you kind of find that similar? I know in this scenario you was like you got another big guy, but do you find it's easier to work a smaller guy because he gets he moves a lot and you get to play the bruising powerhouse, or did you prefer like to that particular style that night?
It is easier working a smaller guy because I'm not really going to bump that often, but for what I want to do and where I want to go, easy doesn't work for me. I like being in the ring with guys my size because now we're really going to find out who's got it. We're going to figure who's got the biggest minerals, and then we're going to go for it. I enjoy guys my size. I enjoy guys bigger than me because it challenges me. Because somebody smaller than me, I have my whole bag of tricks. But if I got somebody bigger than me, there went 75% of my offense. Now I really got to figure out what I'm going to do to get this monster down. And slowly but surely, I've been finding my way with that, find out what I got to do. I'm learning that, with somebody bigger than me, hey, man, you know what? You're not going to be able to pick them up. You're just going to have to hit them. Hit them hard. And sometimes you got to hit them harder than that. And so I'm starting to get to that point to where, all right, man, if plan A doesn't work, I got plan B, and plan B is just as good.
And I'll kind of throw in there, I don't know if you've caught this match recently or not. Wasn't completely thrilled with the ending, so be it, let it go. We saw it twice now, to be honest with you. Recently, Braun Strowman had the match with Big Show on Raw. Right. Did you catch that match by chance? The gimmick?
I love them. I love those.
Absolutely.
Because it's a chance for Braun and Show to do stuff that they normally don't get to do. And it's great. And some people are like, oh, well, we've seen this already. Shut up, you monkey. This is art. This is awesome. This is great. How many other times will you see a guy over 6'6", 300 pounds do a kip up? It's like, well, he had to brace. You can't do one even if I did it for you. So just shut up. This is great stuff. This is amazing stuff. They're telling a story here. And if you will just be quiet and watch them, they're going to blow your mind. They are. They're going to blow your mind. Now, part of me was like, man, this ring's going to break.
Yeah.
And I was right, because apparently they do it every 5-6 years, and it's always involving the big show. So I was like, yeah, the ring's going to break. And even my wife's like, how do you know? I'm like, well, one, the LEDs on the post, yeah, they're gone.
They all were
So,
gone. The ring one was gone. Everything was gone. Same as you. I called that same spot because my wife goes, how did you know? And I'm like, the stuff's all gone. It's kind of obviously. And like you said, unfortunately, it's always big show.
Right. And it's like, even if I wasn't like a wrestler, I'm like, yeah, I saw this coming a mile away. But I still loved it. I still appreciated it. I still marked out like I was a 12-year-old kid. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'm entertained. That's really all I ask for, is to be entertained. I don't ask for much. I'm very simple. But yeah, I love working guys my size, because now you get to show off. You don't want to give them everything. So any chance I get to actually give, do all the extra stuff, like, oh, I can do the leapfrogs and the roll throughs and the nip ups and this and then that and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, man, it's like, oh, snap. O'Shea can do this stuff at 280. I'm like, yeah, what, you can't? That's a shame. Like, this is going to be fun. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, and I think Braun's a good example of, some of the stuff he can do just amazes me. And that's, I think they need more of that. Having the two monsters fight was just a change of pace. It goes back to the circus thing we were talking about. A lot of people crapped on it, and I was like, yeah, but it was so different than anything we had seen, before those two guys, had their match.
Right, and they set it up perfectly. I thought it was really well done. Like I said, I did enjoy it, and that's coming from another big man. So it's anytime I get to see two big guys go at it, either in WWE or or even in Progress, actually. Like, I think the idea of the Atlas title is fantastic, because then it's just really just let's go, just two big men going. And like, I think out of Progress, like, I do enjoy watching like Rampage Brown, because I kind of model a lot of the stuff I do, not so much off of him, but just like him in a sense. It's like, oh, you start seeing similar, and I just love it. It's just, I'm going to throw my weight around. Stop me.
And it goes back to there's a team now down at NXT, Authors of Pain, that and we reference them a lot to the LOD just because of the shared manager. But that's kind of where I like the big team. It's a change of pace, because now it just seems like all your teams are smaller. Right.
All your teams are smaller and they're really quick. But to me, anytime you get a big team in there, they're a game changer, So you have like Authors of Pain, you have Heavy Machinery, who are really underestimated in my opinion. Out in New Japan, you have the War Machines, who are just fantastic. I think they just won the tag titles over there. Out in UK, actually Europe, there's a team called Ring Kampf, but they're a little different because you have one big guy and another guy who's just technical as all get out. But I enjoy watching because they complement each other so well. It's like a yin and yang type deal. And despite it, me and my partner are about the same size, our skill sets are really two sides of a different spectrum. He's real technical. He's real ground and pound. He'll grind in the dust because it's what he does. It's what this is what he did in college. It's how he got into college. But for me, I'm just like, nope. You want to work the arm? Come on, man. Come grab it. Please believe my arms are 20 inches around, and I will throw you out this ring because, well, I can. And no one's going to stop me from doing it.
Yeah, and that goes back to my point with that, where I was going with the Authors of Pain, is I've always been, you need that big team to put into the mix, no matter where you go. It could be in Indies, it can be on Ring of Honor. I think you need that big, especially I like the big heel team, and maybe it just goes back to my days of a heel Road Warrior team, because it works so well with a team like Rock and Roll, that they fighting from underneath, it's always, and it's easy to boo the big monsters who are throwing the little guys around.
I so know that feeling. It's so easy to boo. And I really don't do myself any favors when I open my mouth. I'm really easy to boo.
So, like, you got some stuff coming up, you're working up. I did want to ask you one other question. I'm sorry, I kind of got sidetracked. Yeah. So you've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I said, you mentioned you're taking your family maybe to New Japan, if that was a goal. As a whole, how does your family kind of handle your schedule? Because I know we all, as far as traveling from town to town to town.
Man, my wife loves it. because she sees that I'm happy. And I'll give a little background here. Like I said, I played football on all levels. I look just like my father. My dad played college. I played college. My dad went pro. I went pro. He lasted a little bit longer than me, but whatever. And I always did it because I was trying to be like my dad. But when I found wrestling, it was for me. Like wrestling was for me. Like it was my thing. I wasn't trying to be like anybody else. It was a chance for me to be me. And my wife told me, she's like, you're not your dad. Like you're doing this for you, and you are very happy at it. And the fact that you're very good at it, well, that just really put icing on the cake. And she goes, wherever you go, I'm going with you. And I looked at her, I was like, well, that's a given. And so the life on the road can be really long. And so what I've been doing is I take her with me on majority, maybe like 50-50 on my trips. Anytime I'm going somewhere new, my wife comes with me. And that's my way of keeping her involved in a sense. Like she is my business manager. Like the money runs through her. She keeps my books. Anytime I write anything off, she takes care of the taxes, the travel arrangement. It's her. Like she does it. She is the motor oil that is this machine. Like without her, everything comes to a screeching halt. She knows sometimes she can't go, and she's cool with it. But anytime something big comes up, she comes with me. I was able to get a booking out in San Diego in July for Brave Immortal Combat Wrestling. And guess what? She's coming with me. And she looked at me. She goes, well, there's going to be a lot of money for us both to go. Like, it makes more business sense if, you go by yourself. But I'm like, no, I know it makes business sense if I go by myself. But I want you to come with me. So we'll take the money that we have. You're coming with me because it's San Diego. Let's be for real. It's San Diego in July. Yeah, I'm not going by myself. You're coming with me. And she's like, okie doke, I guess we're going to San Diego, And I make time just for her, and she appreciates it. And when I told her, I want to go to Japan with this, she's all aboard. She's like, yes, let's go to Japan. This is going to be awesome. Woo woo. She gets the O'Shea flag. She starts waving like, yes, let's go to Japan. So she's really appreciative. She supports me. She's my number one fan, man. Oh, she's my number one fan. My family loves it. My family still can't get over that I'm wrestling, and not in a bad way. They're just like, holy crap, he's wrestling. He's been watching wrestling since a little kid, and here he is. Oh boy, here he is. And they see me and they go, "Yeah, that's you. That's you. That's you. I couldn't picture you doing anything else." And so some of my friends, some of my friends, they know I'm wrestling now, and they'll come out and they have a good time and they just enjoy themselves, and they do the same thing. Yeah, man, that's you. That is you. If I never would have thought that is you. I'm like, yeah, man, it's great, man. I'm getting out there, getting travel. She comes with me, man. And like I said, man, if as long as she's happy, I'm happy. That's it.
Goes back to what we said at the beginning, right? About mama being happy, right?
Yeah, mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
So I heard you say you've watched wrestling as a kid growing up. So I always like to ask because I know we touched it briefly, but I want to go more detailed into it. Like when you were younger, who was the guy that you like? Who was your? Because we always have the guy. I always joke and say my first memory of wrestling was sitting on my great grandfather's lap at about 3 or 4 years old watching Dusty Rhodes with a Dusty T-shirt on. That was me. Dusty was my guy. He was always my guy. Who was your guy?
Oh man, there's different stages. When I first watched wrestling, I remember it was like Raw just started coming on TV, and it was Sergeant Slaughter, the Big Boss Man match. And I didn't know what it was, but I knew I wanted to keep watching it. And as I started getting understanding of what it was, I was really big on Ron Simmons. Because back then, and not really trying to get any political, there wasn't really a lot of like black wrestlers I can really get behind. Some of them, they were really colorful, this, that, and the other, but I was kind of like, okay. But when I saw Ron Simmons, I'm like, yeah, that's my guy as a kid. Even my dad was like, yeah, man, you picked a good one. He told me, like, Florida State, this and this. I'm like, yeah, it's a good one. And then as I got older, I really got into The Rock, because I don't know, just watching a guy keep 50,000 people in the palm of his hand and they'll sing along with him did something for me. And I loved it. Like, I would lose my mind when he showed up, just because I knew what was going to go down. Like, he was going to create some magic. And as I started to get a little bit more educated in wrestling, it would still change. But like, those guys I would always go back to. Like, when I was in middle school, it was Booker T. I was such a big Booker T fan. I still am. Because to me, I got to watch Booker T make it. Like, when he was with the Harlem Heat, I thought he was great, but I was like, man, that guy could do so much more. And then they put a television title on him. I'm like, yeah, it's great, but I still think he could do more. And then, but when he won the world championship, I was like, there it is. There it is. That's what we need right there. And I loved it. I love that type of stuff. I always want to be that guy. I always want to be the guy that basically was that, hey, if we need somebody to be the guy, O'Shea can be the guy. Whatever you need him to do, he'll do it. You need him to talk? Oh, he'll talk. He'll talk your ear off if you let him. You need him to wrestle? Yeah, oh yeah, he'll do that too. Whatever you need, he'll do it for you. And that's what I'm working on, really, because I see those guys and watch them become the guy. And so for me, it's always been to be the guy. Like, I didn't play football just to play football. I played football to win. I want to win championships. If you, and I can't really want to speak for anybody else, but if you're not in this business to be the guy, then what are you doing? Like, I came here because I'm trying to be the guy on every single level that I'm on, every single promotion I'm at, every single territory I visit. I'm trying to be the guy, and I'm not trying to be the guy like today. That takes work, but when I show up, what's going down. Like, there's O'Shea. Like, that's the guy. Like, that's the guy that they need. That's the guy that they want. Let's go. And I don't make any bones about it. I don't hide that fact. But I have an ego. I'll be the first one to tell you, I have a massive ego, but I have enough humility to go with it. So it's one of those things of, hey man, I need you to do this for me tonight. Hey man, you got it. Let's do this tonight. And how do you want this done? Okay, great. Here we go. And then I get back. Hey man, was that what you needed? That's exactly what I needed. Hey man, I'm here for you. And it's building blocks and the steps and knowing the right people, getting the right eyes on you, and doing this, that, and the other, so that when it's all said and done, when I look back at Ron Simmons and Booker T and The Rock, my name gets put right there as the guy. That's my goal, to be the guy. And when I see those people and those people names get brought up, all I can think of, those were the guys, and I want to be one of the guys.
I agree. One of the big things the key things I think you just said that a lot of guys could learn from. And now, obviously, I'm not in the place that obviously you've got. It's better for you to say it than me, but I've always agreed with it in the sense of, to be in the business, you have to have an ego. You have to want to be the best. Because one of the things that bugs me, even about characters on television at times right now, is the "oh shucks, I'm just happy to be here" character. I'm like, character needs to go away.
That's a given. Me happy to be there is a given. Like, but I'm trying to kick whoever's butt I gotta be to be the best.
The top guys are at the top because they have the ego. They have the drive. They want to be the champion. It's like I said, I've always said it, and it's okay. And a lot of the wrestlers that come on, they're like, "Oh, I have an ego." I'm like, dude, if you didn't, I would be surprised.
I would ask what was wrong with you if you like. Why don't you? Why don't you have an ego, dude? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, you should want to be the champion no matter where you are. You should want to be the best. You should want. I always tell people it's a realistic of, the odds are that you're never going to main event a WrestleMania, but that should be what you believe in your heart of hearts that you can do.
Exactly. Like, who has medium-sized goals or small aspirations? Like, that's stupid. No, I have big dreams. I have big goals. I have gigantic aspirations, and I'm going to do what I got to do to get there. And, even if whatever, push comes to shove, I don't get there, you'll never take away the fact that, hey, you know what? He gave it one hell of a shot.
Don't let fear and hesitation stop you from being the best, right? If there's going to be an excuse or a reason that you didn't make it, it's not going to be yourself.
And that's exactly my thing. I can live with that. I can live with not making it, knowing that at the end of the day, I gave it everything I got. I'm okay with it. I can live. I can look myself in the mirror. I don't live with excuses on any level. I can't. When people say, "Oh, I can't do this," I'm like, "You can. You just choosing not to. So move. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it because you said you can." I'm like, watch this, and it is what it is. If no one wants to do it, that's fine. I'll do it. Once again, I'll be that guy. No problems at all. No qualms at all being that guy.
Well, from hearing you talk, I actually think, and obviously some mutual friends that we have that kicked in. One of the reasons we had you on is, hey, that was what I've heard. And I will plug you, and that you've probably seen it. A lot of the people, that are in this area, they believe if anybody in this area can make it, it's you.
I appreciate that more than you know. It makes me smile knowing that people are watching, because I never really did this for everyone else's approval without coming off sound like a complete jerk. But at the same time, knowing that there are people out there who are rooting for me means a lot. Just because this isn't easy. But then again, nothing in life worth having is easy. You got to fight for it. And it's nice to know that outside of my wife and my immediate family, that there's people out there who are in my corner. That means a lot, and I always make it a point to any chance I get a podium to kind of put that out there, to always take care of those who always took care of me. The fact you put me in this pocket, you didn't have to, but you did. That means a lot to me. I've been bragging about. I was like, I gotta go. I was like, where you gotta go? I was like, I got a podcast I gotta do. You're not going to the gym? I'm going to the gym later, but I got a podcast I got to do at 5:30, so I got to go. Oh, look at you doing a podcast. I look at him like, yeah, how come you're not doing a podcast? Whoops. And then I walk out the door, Anytime anybody's ever took a picture of me, I make sure I give credit where credit's due. Anytime everybody shouted me out on Twitter or on Instagram, I always make sure I give credit where credit's due, because it comes full circle. You want to crap on people on your way up, well, guess what, buddy? You'll see them, every single one of them, on the way down.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen, And so I'm a firm believer take care of those who took care of me.
But yeah, we're real thrilled. Like I said, we've got our eye on you, man. Obviously, that's why we had you on here. You obviously were brought to our attention. We're not gonna plug him by name. That'd be giving him too much credit. You think? So Tommy will listen to this and he'll give us a hard time. So we'll throw his name out once. But yeah, definitely. We think, from what we've seen, we were really, you're one of the, I don't know if you know this, you're the second, indie guy that we brought on.
Awesome.
You knew the other guy, it's in the archives at this point by the time we air. But a lot of your story is kind of ours. That's kind of why we were real adamant about having you on. We were small. We don't have any former wrestlers. We don't have any former announcers, promoters, etc. on our network. It's just a bunch of guys who are we're going to make this work, and hard work, determination. We're pushing through, and and it's kind of said the same story. It's not easy, but if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. But when it comes through, though, you'll be known as the one who did it. It's hey, everybody has an excuse, but that guy did it. So what's yours?
Yeah. So, man, we're thrilled that you were here, but we typically always love to give you an opportunity. Anything that you got to, before we let you go, any shows you want to upcoming, that you want to plug, merch, where they can find merch, etc. for you.
I appreciate it. Okay, well, I guess you can find me on the big three. You can find me on Facebook under O'Shea Edwards. You can find me on Instagram, all damn day O'Shea _ every word. Twitter, same handle. In terms of, I am on Pro Wrestling Tees.com, O'Shea Edwards. It has an exclusive on there. I may get those in bulk. So if you want that shirt, you got Wrestling Tees and get that shirt, do draw me. this will be that one. Speaking of T-shirts, I need to get up to my vacated title, graphic design, and branding. Those boys have really taken good care of me, and they're really the ones who really get me with some real big exposure. Indie wrestling, they're another. Anytime a group of guys can come together and put a spotlight, just like yourself, on indie wrestling, like you guys have no idea. Like, you're doing God's work, as like I said, you're doing God's work for stuff like that, because it's a big deal. Like, on such a level, it's a big deal, because if you guys didn't do it, nobody else would. And so for like this podcast, and, you know, you will always have my for eternal gratitude. Because my T-shirt guy, who will kick my butt if I don't do this, inked it Designs out in Locust Grove. I hope he hears this so he can shut up and leave me alone. New shows got coming up. I'm not really sure when this will air, but Friday, this upcoming Friday, April 28th or 29th. I'm sorry. Actually, 8th and 29th. Piedmont, Alabama, Pro South. It's their Trios Cup. Pretty big show. Bob Bevins will be there. Some guys from Chicago will be there as well. So that's a real big deal. That Saturday, I will be in Pikeville, Tennessee for Mountain Championship Wrestling. May 1st is a really big show. Get your tickets online, man. There's some real good seats available. Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. It'll be Homegrown 2017. If you are in Atlanta and you don't go to this, what is wrong with you? Like, come on. It's in Museum Bar. It's in a church. Well, It was a church. It's now a bar. But man, it's going to be a hell of a show. Martin Stone's out there. For those who don't know, also known as Danny Burch from the Cruiserweight Classic. David Starr, Homicide, Murder One. All those boys are going to be out there. I'll be there. And so that's going to be a great show coming up. And then that weekend, it'll be Southern Fried Championship Wrestling with me and my tag team partner, Hawk Thomas. What's up, dude? Didn't think I was going to shout you out, but there you go. And then all my boys from my crew, the Inglorious Bastards, Hawk Thomas, myself, Dax Anthony, Cody Jack. Love you boys. Always thinking about you. You know, hopefully one day we'll all get together soon and all start creating some havoc. Other than that, man, that's it. That's all I got, man. Thanks for giving me the airtime, dude. I appreciate it.
Man, like I said, you know, we want to thank you for coming on. It's always our first thing. But definitely that's, you know, we kind of expressed that's kind of our goal here is to give you guys, you know, an opportunity and a forum to come on and kind of open the doors for, you know, indie wrestling. I know that's one of your things you've talked about in the past is that you want to shed a whole different light on, you know, it's not a sideshow. It's not a freak show. It's a great show, you know, kind of thing.
It's a great show. And we're trying to make it the show. Regardless of where you're at, man, we always try to make it the show. I tell people all the time, man, defend indie wrestling. Defend it, man. It's without it, there is no WWE, there is no TNA, there is no Ring of Honor, there is no New Japan, there is no Progress. Man, you got to support indie wrestling because, well, it's how you know, how do you think those boys got there? They just didn't draft them out of college. Oh man, you know, you see guys like Seth Rollins. You know, this guy was out in Iowa doing what he had to do. You know, there's guys out in Florida, New York, and California, and Texas, man, who are just putting it out there, trying to get on, man, trying to do what they got to do.
Yeah,
and without it, man, you'll never know who they are.
Yeah, I don't begrudge any of the guys that were born into it. Trust me, I don't.
No,
but not everybody. It didn't happen that way for everybody. You know, it's
right.
Some guys had to. You know, and like I said, those guys they got a break. God bless them. But some guys, you know, a lot of guys had to work really hard for a long time, working in front of crowds of 10 people. You know, but they got there.
Right, and the beauty thing is, man, for all the work that I'm putting in, all the training hours that I'm putting in, all the miles that I'm driving, all the money that I'm having to spend, I wouldn't give it up for anything. On top of it, I'm happy. I tell people all the time that in a roundabout way, dude, wrestling saved my life. And this business doesn't owe me a damn thing, and I'm okay with that. Because when it's all said and done, I'm trying to lay the groundwork down for something that lives longer than me. And, you know, even if it's on a minute level, I want to build something that's longer than me. And that's really all I could really ask for, you know? So anytime somebody gives me a chance to get on somewhere, whether it be in a wrestling ring, a commentary desk, or a podcast, man, I'm forever grateful, just because you didn't have to, but you did. You took a chance on me. And anytime somebody takes a chance on me, dude, I take it personal, because, you know, hey, man, show them what you got. Show them what you got, and watch what happens.
Well, we took a chance, as you might say, but I don't think we took a chance, because you came well recommended to us. And I'll go ahead and tell you, we're extremely grateful that you're here. It was a great. I thoroughly enjoyed having you on. And hopefully it won't be the last. That's what we always say.
I hope not either, man. I hope not either. I hope y'all have me back, man. Hopefully I'm gonna have some more stories to tell.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what we're hoping for. It's just as the stories go and the road it'll get crazier as you go along. And one day when you're main eventing WrestleMania, you'll remember, and when we call, you'll say, "Hey, no problem." And we definitely look forward. Hopefully, we can make some of those shows here in Atlanta for you, and put face to face time versus just over the phone and that kind of stuff. So,
you let me know. You let me know what show you want to come to. I'll make sure you get front row tickets, no doubt.
Absolutely. So I would definitely stay in touch. And, man, like I said, it's been great having you on, and we look forward to it again.
Thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate it.
Well, I'd like to, again, thank O'Shea Edwards for coming on with us. We thoroughly enjoyed having him on. Great young superstar in the making, coming up through the indie ranks here, especially down in the southeastern portion of the United States. So keep an eye out, man. If you see O'Shea Edwards on the card, man, definitely get out, support him, and support the promotion that he's working for. You won't be disappointed. We look forward to having him on again soon, as well as some of his maybe his partner in crime will have him on as well. Well, guys, this is the wrap-up here part of the show, which means always the same. I do actually want to take a second to let everybody know kind of what we're doing here. On these new interview shows, we will focus more heavily on the indie stars. Not that we won't ever bring on anybody else. Obviously we had Bob the writer, Bobby Matthews from ProWrestlingStories.com on as well. But, we want to focus maybe on the indie stars here and, from all around the world. We're not going to focus on the United States, but all around the world because we want to help bring a little bit of attention to indie wrestling to help push, promote, call it what you will, and show you guys these guys are the future of wrestling. They're not They're not WWE, which is what everybody thinks of wrestling. But man, you've got to come out and especially with a family environment. Some of these shows are just top shelf entertainment. Your kids will have just as much fun, if not more, because they'll be able to get, they'll be able to touch the stars at the, as far as shake their hands, get autographs and things like that. Which a lot of that you can do these days at the big shows. So again, stick with us, man. We're going to, like I said, bring these guys on and kind of let you introduce you. Maybe it's called Introduction to the Indies or something like that. So we can get you guys to, get in touch with them, and then you'll start hearing the areas. We're going to have on some guys from some of the Fight App promotions that we work with. We've already signed down a few, which I'm not probably ready to give away the names yet. They will be advertised. Of course, you just want to keep following us on Twitter at TappedOutPod, and keep up to date when we'll kind of advertise them ahead of time when they're coming. Speaking of which, if you have anybody that you'd like for us to get on, there's an indie guy that that you just think is great and we'd love to get him on, send us to tappedOutWrestlingPodcast@gmail.com. That is tappedOutWrestlingPodcast@gmail.com, and let us know. And maybe if there's a way we can get in touch with them, absolutely, we'll try to get them on. You can also go to our website, obviously to hear those episodes. It's where, all the links are on tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com, tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com. All the links to our iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Stitcher, all that good stuff there. So find your way there. And, of course, the media player is right there in the middle. You can just click it and play and listen to the episodes right from the website if you want to, and you can download them as well. And speaking of the Fight app, that link is on our website as well, especially with the move we're making now. You definitely want to get the Fight app. Click on that link. Make sure you use our link to download the Fight app. Just give us a little bit of credit. We just like to get some credit for sending you over there, a little referral fee. So definitely use our link. But you want to get the Fight app because you're going to start seeing stars for some of those promotions that you see on that Fight app on the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, doing the interviews and kind of promoting some of the shows that they've got coming up. We also have our Amazon affiliate link there as well. Basically, all we ask is you replace your current Amazon.com affiliate link or your Amazon.com link that you have bookmarked and replace it with our affiliate link. Same thing, doesn't cost you a dime extra. It just kind of kicks us a little referral fee to help cover some of the overhead costs that we're incurring, especially, bringing these guys on now. It's going to be a lot more work and a lot more time. So these server fees are going to climb, guys, to help, hopefully entertain you guys. So definitely, use that Amazon link. So guys, we appreciate you coming on. Keep an eye on that Facebook at Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network, Twitter at Tapped Out Pod, and you'll see these interviews that we have. The schedule, we'll start putting them out. We'll put them out a few days ahead of time, so you'll know that they're coming. And man, I guess with that, it's time to tap out.